Welcome back to another episode of A Product of Proverbs. It's me, your host, Joshua Fowler. I'm here again to share another word that I'm giving to the students at our youth ministry. But on top of filling the hearts of the 70 to 80 people that are going to be there in the building, we can also share it with the hundreds of people that listen to this online across the world. So as always, anytime I give a message anywhere, I'll make sure to document it here as well. This message is coming from a topic that's very close to my heart. There was a few different ways I could approach it. I kind of blended it together, and that's leadership. And not just leadership, but the mentorship aspect of leadership, thinking about how we mentor and guide those that are younger than us. So I hope that you guys are blessed by this. I hope that it has an impact, and I hope that you find a way to reach out and mentor the people that are where you once were, but not where you're at today. The reason this is so important to me is because the mentors in my life have been the only reason that I'm here. As we talk about A Product of Proverbs as a brand, you think about Proverbs and wisdom, people helping you not run into certain roadblocks that they ran into, and helping you take advantage of certain lessons that they've learned throughout life. So before I jump into the message, I just want to share with you some of the most important mentors throughout my life. I'll start off with my first one, and by far the most impactful, and that's my Uncle Jason. I don't have an older brother. Well, Jason's my dad's baby brother. It's almost like my older brother. You can only imagine the value of having a relationship with someone that's in college while you're in high school, that while you're in college, they're a young adult figuring out real life. He was able to really guide me and let me know what to do, what not to do, what's important, what's not important. Even to the point of my first job, I worked at Midtown Athletic Club, where he was a personal trainer at. I worked the summer camp. We worked together. He just showed me the way. He showed me what to do with your career, what to do with college, what to do with your money, what to do with your relationships, what to do with your image. What a lot of people my age were doing, I didn't do, because I had someone that had already been past this stage to say, don't waste your time with that. That's really not the best path to get the outcome you want. Imagine yourself now if you were able to talk to someone 3 or 4 years younger than you, how you could really guide them and help them avoid certain things. He's more than 3 or 4 years older than me, but he was really the most impactful person to make it where I'm at today, personally, professionally. Just everything about my maturity and my wisdom really comes from that one mentorship, where we talked at least 5 days a week, from probably when I was about 14 years old all the way up until I was 24. And we still talk frequently, not as frequently as I'd probably like. He has a family and a business, and I'm busy with my career and church, but we still talk very frequently because you have to keep those relationships going with those mentors. Another mentor that I'd like to call out is probably one of my bigger spiritual mentors, and that's my pro-fight Jazz Vic. One thing that I'm noticing as I'm thinking about this list is all of my mentors are Sigmas just like me. And another thing I just noticed, all of our names start with the J, but Jazz was a very big spiritual mentor for me. Jazz set the example of what it looked like to kind of leave a certain lifestyle behind and move forward with the lifestyle of righteousness, having respect, having the frat brothers, having people look at you in a new light because of the new calling that you have on your life. But he really set that example, in seeing him transition from kind of where I was and seeing what it looks like in the future when you move to where you should be. And even to the fact of when I first started down this path that I'm on now, I reached out to Jazz and even gave him his flowers to let him know, like, this is you. The same way that we're going to talk about Mark in this upcoming message. Like, I was one that had spiritual big brothers, and Jazz is one of those big brothers. And the last mentor before I jump into today's message is my older frat brother, John. John is probably one of the single most impactful people to me career-wise, because I remember at a crossroads, and we joke about it all the time. I reached out to him, said, let me pick your brain. We went to a wing spot, and we joke about the fact that I still have the notepad where I was taking notes on good career choices, what to do with school, how to do internships, how to plan and build your career. And that might have been 2013 or 14. To this day, we're still friends. A couple years ago, we were in Georgia Tech's MBA program together, thinking about how his mentorship from when I was an undergrad all the way to my MBA program was there. It was consistent. He helped me with my application package. He helped me with preparing for the interviews. He was and is still a very big mentor in my life. But I say all of this to say that mentorship is very important. In the same way that all of these people poured into me personally, professionally, and spiritually, you need to find someone to do that too. And that's what today's message is all about. So with that, I'll jump right into it. This is a product of Proverbs, and this is our message today, titled "What They See is What They'll Be." So today's message, as always, is based on scripture, and it's coming out of Mark 9:36 and 37. And it reads, "He took a little child whom he placed among them. Taking the child in his arms, he said to them, 'Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me.'" And this is really thinking about leadership being lifting others up, especially those younger than you that are still growing. And as always, especially with the students in the youth ministry, I like to do some form of Bible history because this book is very important, and it's very easy to get lost in reading your verse of the day, get lost in seeing clips or certain messages online and not really understanding the full context of the word and what we're really diving into. So we know the name Mark, as in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And he's one of the authors of the four Gospels, with his gospel really emphasizing what Jesus did more than what he said, an example of growth and humble influence behind the scenes, which is what we'll expect from you as a positive mentor and leader as you pull others up with you. But he wasn't one of the 12 disciples, being closely connected to several apostles. So, fun fact, he was with Paul on the first missionary journey. In Acts 13:5, they say when they arrived at Salamis, they proclaimed the word of God in the Jewish synagogues. John was with them as their helper. Another fun fact, it was John Mark. His first name wasn't Mark. If you know Paul from the last message, he wrote most of the New Testament. It's a very influential person in the Bible. The next is Peter. If you know Peter, he's the rock that Jesus built the church on. And Mark was considered, to some, quote unquote, a spiritual son to Peter. That comes from 1 Peter 5:13 when he wrote, "She who is in Babylon, chosen together with you, sends you her greetings, and so does my son Mark." So we know that Peter considered Mark to be like a son. Being tied to Paul and Peter are some very important and influential people in Bible history. Another thing to note is that he came from a Jewish family. His mother hosted early Christian gatherings in her home in Jerusalem, as we can see in Acts 12:12. When this had dawned on him, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, also called Mark, where many people had gathered and were praying. So this is very similar to our students in the congregation, where their parents are heavily involved in the church. Maybe very similar to a lot of you, similar to me, that our parents hosted gatherings at our house. Our parents went to a lot of church events. They were influential in their church families. And this is Mark, a son of the faith. So when we look at Mark and we look at this verse and we look at leadership, the first thing that we always want to think about is your present power. You need to lead now. No matter how young you are, at this present moment, you have the power to mentor and lead someone. And when you think about it, younger isn't always just about age. Think about your spiritual younger siblings. You can have more time in relationship with Christ, more emotional maturity, and spiritual understanding than people younger, your age, or older than you. As Jesus pulled that child into the middle of the crowd of people, it's Christ-like to highlight and lead those who are younger than you. In Matthew 5:16, he says, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." You have a light, let it shine. Pull people up, help people that aren't where you are yet. In the case of our students, I tell them, hey, if you're in the 8th grade, imagine how much a 6th grader would benefit from knowing what you know about being successful in middle school. If you're in the 12th grade, imagine how much you can help a 10th grader, that they can avoid so many pitfalls that could happen where they're not focused on the right things, because that sophomore and junior year is really tough. But you can help them not go through the struggles that you went through if you just let that light shine. For you listeners at various ages, if you're in college, think about what you can do for high schoolers. If you're out of college, think about what you can do for college students. You have to think about this throughout every stage of life. There's someone younger than you and still growing that you can pull up. You can let your light shine and share your wisdom with them and really help them avoid certain things that you really could have benefited, saved a lot of time, money, and energy if you would have had someone just help guide you through that. The next main point being, you need to lead everywhere with intentional influence. Be intentional about your light. Because your influence doesn't turn on and off, it shines continually. So there's people looking even when you don't think they're looking. Evangelism, or spreading the gospel, is one of the key responsibilities of all Christians. In 2 Corinthians 5:20, it says, "We are therefore Christ's ambassadors, so we should be like Christ in all things we do." Don't just say it. Don't just post Bible verses. Don't just show people on the internet and say it when you're talking to people that you're godly. In all things you do, it's more important than all things you say. And remember that you can influence on purpose or by accident, because people are watching. In Titus 2:7-8 says, "Set them an example by doing what is good." 1 Timothy 4:12 says, "Set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity." You need to set an example with your actions, because actions speak louder than words. Leadership starts with recognizing your influence and being intentional about being a Christ-like figure to those around you. Lead them closer to Christ and further from the world, in action and in word, but most importantly, in action. And this is all because you have a real responsibility. You have a responsibility to lead in the right direction. In verse 42 of Mark 9, Jesus says, "If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them if a large millstone were hung around their neck and they were thrown into the sea." He said that it would be better if you just weren't alive than if you lead others in the wrong direction, especially those younger than you. There's nothing better than being the reason that someone chooses to follow Jesus. There's also nothing worse than being the reason that someone goes in the wrong direction and suffers consequences that you knew better than. Think about if you have younger siblings. If you, who should know better as the big brother and big sister, influence your younger sibling to do something that you and them know is wrong, and your parents catch you, you'll probably get in more trouble than the younger sibling that actually did it. And God looks at us the exact same way. So think about who you're influencing, both on purpose and on accident. Are you a good influence? Are you a bad influence? Are you helping them? Are you hurting them? You have to be responsible for this, because you got to answer to God for how you led his people. So what do we do with all this? We always give application points to the students, and this is no different. The first point is you need to lead with expectation, because everyone's a leader somewhere, whether at home, in school, at work, at church, in your friend groups, online. One exercise that we have students do is, what do you want people to see when they look at you? What do you think people see when they look at you today? And what can you do to close the gap between what they should see and what they actually see? Be intentional about how you show up to those around you who may be following your lead. The next application point is to lead by experience. Your lived experience is powerful to someone who hasn't reached where you are yet. What negative experiences do you have that could help people avoid certain pitfalls? What positive experiences do you have that could help people succeed in certain situations? Be intentional about sharing your wisdom and perspective with others, because it's very impactful to them. As I shared at the beginning of this, my uncle sharing his personal wisdom with me really led to me developing a mature and wise personality that did a lot of the right things, some of the wrong things, but mainly the right things that put me ahead of many people my age. My spiritual mentor, he shared his wisdom, he shared his perspective, and shared it honestly. It's a thing where once people find God, they try to act like they were never sinners. No, he shared everything that he used to do that made it more powerful that he doesn't do it anymore. That gives people hope that even though they're doing things now, one day they can stop doing them in the future. My professional mentor, he shared with me certain advice and certain paths to take in my career that really helped me accelerate. I didn't have to bump my head against certain walls I didn't have to run into certain dead ends trying to figure out this professional maze. I had someone tell me, don't go down that road, go down this road, and help accelerate reaching certain levels in the career. So you have a very powerful experience, and you need to share that. Lead with that experience. And lastly, lead by example. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be trying to do the right thing. Your words, your choices, your actions, and your presence are either a stepping stone or a stumbling block to someone looking at the way you live. Anytime you do anything, remember people are watching. Think about, if they followed in my steps, where would they end up? With that, as always, we like to give you an invitation because salvation is a gift from God to the people. We can never make up for our sin by self-improvement, mentorship, professional success, or good works and charity that we give back to people around us. The only way that we can be saved from our sin and accept God's forgiveness is by trusting in Jesus Christ. So make Jesus your leader today. Follow God, and He'll be the greatest guide through His word. When the Holy Spirit gives you power, you'll read that book with a certain level of discernment. You'll find the right messages to listen to help you understand what no human can help you understand. If you have any questions at all, if you have any feedback at all, if you have any prayer requests at all, if you need anything at all, you guys know where to find me. So Product of Proverbs on Instagram, on YouTube. You can send me an email at aproductofproverbs@gmail.com. I just want to help. So with that, I thank you for listening. I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you in the next message.